How do you sleep when you've quit drinking? When you first quit alcohol, you can find that your sleep becomes really disrupted, and it can be a challenge getting back into a pattern where you're waking up in the morning feeling refreshed and restored. And also, you might not be getting off to sleep as quickly as you like. You might be laying awake at night, tossing and turning, and you just want to know how you're enjoying sobriety. How do you get to sleep quickly? How do you get into that relaxed state? Well, I want to give you some tips for awesome sleep when you've quit drinking. Now, one of the members of my Facebook community actually contacted me about this very issue. It's something we talk about quite a lot in my Facebook community. And she'd written a blog post around the problems that people have with sleeping when they stop drinking. And there's some awesome tips and techniques. I'll post a link to the blog, which is on my website, so you can read that and look in more detail about exactly what you can do to achieve excellent sleep when you get sober. Now, many people experience issues with sleep when they either start out in sobriety or when they've quit drinking for a while. We can still have problems if we don't take steps to address the issues that can come up with our sleeping patterns. As I say, it's a topic we discuss a lot in my program, and I want to make sure that you're set for sleeping success. If you wanted to join my program, if you're looking for more help with quitting drinking, visit joinbesober.com. You can try it free for 14 days, and it's an excellent support tool. That might be something that will really help you out. But I want to create some awareness around the issues that arise with sleeping and sobriety. And I want to give you some really powerful tips to make sure that you can get some great sleep and you start looking forward to going to bed instead of dreading it after you've quit drinking. So Janet, in her own blog post, opens up by saying that many people have difficulty sleeping when they quit drinking alcohol. While most people start to achieve a good night's sleep after maybe a week or two, for some, it can take a bit longer. And if the sleep problems persist for more than a few weeks, then you might well need a sleep remedy to get your cycles back in sync. And I'm going to give you a few remedies alongside the tips that I'm going to share. And from speaking to the members of my group and my Facebook community, I've found that many people experience the same problems. It's absolutely nothing to worry about. And it's perfectly normal to encounter a few days, maybe a week or so of disrupted sleep when you first quit drinking. But if it's persisting, if it's not changing, if it's not improving, you definitely need to take some steps. You need to become proactive, start getting really curious about what's going on, and really look into it so that you can put a plan together to start making a real difference and getting the sleep that you need, the sleep that you deserve. It goes without saying that a lack of sleep causes serious negative problems, both mentally and physically, and it can hinder our sobriety. In some cases, people think that actually having alcohol is going to be the solution to the issue. It's absolutely not. That's a complete illusion, but alcohol will make you think that it can solve the problems. All that's going to do is keep you stuck. Now, some of the serious side effects that not sleeping after you've quit drinking can cause to people who've got sober are low moods, anxiety, a sense of depression, and people can also, in serious cases, experience hallucinations, vivid dreams in between that stage of sleeping and being awake, and an all-round sense of despair and worrying about things as well. Because we're feeling low and jaded, our motivation, our enthusiasm, it can all be affected. And sleep is very much at the heart of successful sobriety. If we're getting good sleep, we're going to be recharged and raring to go the next day. Think about it like your mobile phone. You wouldn't leave your mobile phone uncharged and with only 5% battery. Well, that's the same. If you don't get good quality sleep, it's like not putting your phone on charge and allowing it to die. We need to make sure we sleep properly each and every night. Sure, there can be some occasions where we don't get great sleep, but with a good plan and a great routine, you'll find that you can absolutely nail this. And if it's become a continual issue for you, this is when serious problems can start to arise. And it's one of the key reasons that I wanted to share about this and make sure that you really know what to do in terms of getting the very best sleep after you've quit drinking. And even if alcohol is not your topic, there's some great tips in here that will help you get the very best sleep so that you can curb those uncomfortable nights of tossing and turning. Now, one of the things that Janet, who's one of the members of my community, talks about is something called the rubber band technique. So let's get straight into that. Now, people need to have sleep to function physically and mentally. Without it, we're going to really struggle. And there's nothing more frustrating than when sleep just won't arrive. We lay awake in bed, we're tossing, we're turning, our mind is racing and spinning like a washing machine. And we end up convincing ourselves that we've got no chance of getting any rest. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. As we lay awake, we start believing it. And eventually we might even get out of bed and think, well, I might as well just stay up for the night because there's no chance of getting to sleep. Now, the rubber band technique that I mentioned is something that you can use. You can bring it into your day. It's used by the St. Mary's Sleep Clinic in Montreal in Canada. And the idea behind the technique is that sleep is like a rubber band. Sounds a bit odd, right? But the point is that if you stretch it too far, then it will want to return to a resting state. And the point being that if we can stretch ourselves, we will want to return to a resting state. If you force yourself to stay awake, your body will want to return to a resting state. It will want to sleep. So the more you stretch yourself by being awake, the more intensely your body will force you into wanting sleep. So effectively, part of the strategy that I'm going to recommend, and one of the tips, I will share some others, is to actually stretch yourself so that you really become hungry for sleep. To truly reset your body clock, you need to stretch your waking sleep cycle as much as you possibly can. It's not an immediate fix, and it can take a bit of time for some people to get into the right routine and for it to have a significant impact on your ability to sleep. But for many people who've tried this, after a few days, they really do notice that it's an extremely effective technique. It doesn't work for everybody, which is why I'm going to share some other tips as well. So in order to use the rubber band technique, first of all, set yourself a strict time window for how long you're going to be in bed. So let's say at the moment you're going to bed at 10 p.m. and you're waking up at 7 a.m. And of course, it's taking you 3 or 4 hours to get to sleep, and you're waking up feeling groggy, unmotivated, and you've got no energy in the mornings. You need to reduce the time frame. So you might take that down to 6 hours, even 5 hours to start with. So reduce the time frame by 2 to 3 hours to start with. I'd recommend 3 hours initially. So for example, if you've been going to bed at 10 p.m., you might adjust that so that it goes to 1 a.m. And if you've been waking up at 8 a.m., bring that forward to 7 a.m. You've just taken 3 hours off of the time frame. And you need to be strict with the window. Even if it's a cold, dark winter morning, you still need to make sure you get up at the time that you've agreed with yourself. It needs a commitment. No matter how you feel, you've got to force yourself to do it. You've got to stay awake during the day, and you need to make sure you get up when you set that alarm. Once the alarm goes off, get out of bed. And obviously track your progress with this. I think that's really important. Use a sleep app or use a journal and log how often you're getting up during the night, how long you think it took you to get to sleep, and how many hours you slept for if you do manage to get to sleep. So essentially, the rubber band technique is all about reducing the window that you've got to sleep in. Initially, taking off around 3 hours, and then once you're sleeping for around 80 to 90% of the night, you can add 30 minutes on. That's your reward. So you might then say, okay, I'm going to start going to bed at 12:30 a.m. instead of 1 a.m. And then once you're sleeping for 85-ish% of that period, you can have another 30 minutes until you get to a point where you're getting a full 7 to 8 hours sleep. But you need to start off by really restricting it, be really strict on your routine. The aim is to get around 7 or 8 hours of sleep time. But it's really important initially to kind of deprive yourself in order to get what you want. And there's a few other tips that I'm going to share. Whether you're using the rubber band technique or not, these are all going to help you get much better sleep, especially after you've quit drinking. One of the big things that many people don't do is avoid television and screen time directly before they go to bed. Now, it's fine if you're watching a meditation or listening to calming music, but if you're watching an action movie or you've got your iPad on and it's glaring bright into your face, be mindful of that. Reading books on a Kindle is fine, but maybe you want to think about dimming the screen so the brightness isn't glaring into your face. Just be mindful of the content that you're digesting. You don't want to be reading a thriller book or watching, as I say, a horror movie or something like that directly before you go to bed. Think about things that will calm you down, things that are going to relax you. If you're struggling to stay awake with the rubber band technique until 1 a.m. or whatever time you've decided, do something to keep yourself busy, occupy yourself. You might even go for a walk around the block, assuming it's safe to do so. Or you could splash your face with cold water or jump in the shower. Just make sure you don't fall asleep before the time that you've allotted yourself, and take steps to make sure you stay awake until the time you've committed to. And it's really important to stick with it. Don't give up. It's not an instant fix. It's probably going to take a few days. In some cases, it can take a few weeks, but you need to stick with it. You need to log all the information that you gather and notice that things are getting better, but it can take time and it can take patience. Your mind and your body are recalibrating, they're rebalancing, and they're resetting. It needs to get back into that normal and natural sleep cycle. But by doing this, you're going to be giving yourself the best chances of moving to that place as quickly as possible. And you might find that there are periods where you feel tired, grumpy, anxious, and unmotivated, and you might feel like giving in, but it's not going to help. Having a nap during the day is going to set you back. It's going to make it harder to fall asleep in the evening when you do go to bed. So try and be firm on yourself, try and be disciplined. You've quit alcohol already, I assume, if you're watching this. So you're clearly somebody who's made of tough stuff and can stick to commitment. So I'm sure you can get through this. In my own experience, I had about 3 or 4 days of disrupted sleep. And then amazingly, I woke up on day 5 or day 6 and I felt completely refreshed. I'd slept the whole night. I'd even had a few nights where I was sweating heavily as my body was getting rid of the toxins and kind of resetting and rebalancing. And then I woke up on that 5th or 6th day and I just felt great. I felt recharged and re-energized. And since then, I've been able to get off to sleep quickly and been able to enjoy some of the best sleep that I've ever had. And it really is an illusion that alcohol will help. Yes, alcohol knocks us out, but you have to understand that when we drink, we don't enter the important sleep cycles that refresh us and restore us. I often think about it a bit like a computer. Now, the computer in front of me right now has got about 15 different website tabs open, and I leave it on in the evening. I don't shut it down. I don't put it to sleep. Eventually, every couple of weeks, it crashes and I have to restart it. And it's the same thing. Computers need to be restarted in order to refresh and to come back to life and to perform at their optimum level. The human body and the human mind is exactly the same. We need to shut down at the end of the day and we need to restart in the morning. While we're asleep, our body enters a phase where it restores and it repairs physically and mentally. And it's so important that we get those crucial cycles of sleep where that happens. When we drink, we don't enter all of those cycles, which is why so many people who drink daily or heavily feel so sluggish and feel so unmotivated. You'll see such a difference when you start getting proper restorative sleep. It really is quite amazing. And many people have that as a reason why they would never go back to drinking. So once you've experienced it, you probably will never want to return to the type of sleep that you had before. Make sure you use a chart to log your sleep. A simple wall planner will do. Or if you click the link in the blog in the description below on YouTube, you can access a chart that I've got on my website that you can log your sleep and you can know all the different things on there. That'll really help you. You can save it, you can download it. But it's important to bear in mind that when we drink alcohol, it really has a serious impact on the quality of our sleep. We don't enter those sleep cycles. And I had never known what life was like without those sleep cycles. And it wasn't until I quit drinking and experienced it that I was able to realize what I'd been missing out on. So give yourself that opportunity to discover what true refreshing sleep feels like, because it really is something that's quite amazing. When you're able to reboot your mind and body, the following day you feel great. And I also wanted to mention a little bit about drinking dreams. Many people talk to me about how they have dreams about drinking, and they can be really vivid. I had a couple myself, and I woke up in the morning believing that I'd actually drunk, and I thought I'd ruined my sobriety. Thankfully, it was just a dream. And of course, when we quit alcohol, we're often watching videos like this. We're reading books about quitting drinking, listening to podcasts. We're digesting all this information, and a lot of it goes into our subconscious, and we can have it on our mind. So it's natural to have dreams about drinking. This is a big life change, and you've done amazing for quitting drinking. Don't worry if you have dreams about drinking. They can be very vivid. Just write them down in your journal and feel grateful that you actually didn't drink and it was just a dream. Just write it down, get some clarity around it. I often feel that dreams are like a gateway into our subconscious mind. So if anything else happens in the dream, you might want to log that down as well. Some people I know keep a dream journal where they write down their dreams. You can get notepads with a little light on when you open them, and you can write down all your dreams in there. They can give you a lot of information about what's going on in your subconscious mind. So we talked about the sleep deprivation tactic. I really think that makes a lot of sense. It's an excellent tactic, and I know it's worked for a lot of people where I've given them advice about improving the quality of their sleep. So just think about how much time you want to restrict it down to. I think a good place to start is with around 5 hours sleep. And then, as I mentioned, add on half an hour once you start getting 80 to 90% sleep during that period. And you can just adjust it accordingly as the days go by. But make sure you're getting the data down. The data is really going to serve you. Don't just wing it and assume that you're doing fine or you're not doing so well. You need to write it down. And if you wake up in the night, keep a notepad next to your bed where you can jot down any dreams or any information that might help you. A few other tips for improving your sleep would be to carry out a bedroom audit. So many people fail to pay attention to the quality of their sleeping environment. Spend some time assessing everything in your bedroom. Pay attention to the quality of your bedding, the temperature in the room. What's the comfort of your mattress like? Are the springs digging into your ribs? Do your pillows need to be changed? Pay attention to all of it. You might have the wrong quilt on for the time of year. You might have light or sound seeping into the bedroom while you're trying to sleep. None of this is going to help. Do you need blackout curtains? Or maybe you should be taking steps to eliminate noise or light that's impacting your quality of sleep. Really have a good look at it and get super curious, and then put things in place to make it happen. Another tip is to avoid drinking too much caffeine during the day. Personally, I don't drink caffeine after midday because I'm well aware that it has a negative effect on my ability to sleep. Caffeine is proven to be detrimental to our sleep quality, and if we've drunk it within 6 hours of bedtime, it is likely to cause us problems. Try switching your coffee to decaf and avoid the urge to drink caffeinated coffee in the afternoons. Another really important tip is to avoid daytime naps. You might have heard that power naps have benefits, which they do, and they can make people feel refreshed. But if you're having problems sleeping, you need to avoid napping. It really is important. Watch out for those. And if you feel the urge to have a nap, or if you're sat in your comfy armchair and you can feel yourself dozing off, put something in place that you'll do instead. Maybe take the dog for a walk, phone a friend, keep yourself busy, but don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to start falling asleep in the day, because it's one of the biggest things that will impact on your ability to sleep at night time. Exercise also makes a huge difference. Try and exercise in the mornings if possible. The more tired you are, the more likely you're going to get quality sleep in the evenings. You're going to wake up feeling energized. Take daily exercise if you can. It's a great way to wear yourself out and a great way to start getting off to sleep much, much quicker. You might want to go for a run, take a swim, or go for a cycle, for example. But if they feel a bit too vigorous, then take a long walk. If you've got a dog, you could walk the dog or go for a walk with somebody that you know. Try and avoid exercising 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. Ideally, mornings are the best time to exercise, but make sure you're doing something that works for you. And also think about taking supplements. Melatonin is a hormone that lets your brain know when it's time to wind down and get some sleep. Many people use melatonin supplements to assist with sleeping, and studies have shown that 2 milligrams of melatonin taken prior to going to bed enables people to get to sleep quicker, and it boosts the quality of their sleep. It also helps them wake up the next day feeling really refreshed. There are some other supplements that you might want to investigate. There's lavender, valerian root, magnesium, glycine, and ginkgo as well. And of course, don't drink alcohol. It goes without saying that alcohol has a massive negative impact on sleep. And when we've quit drinking and experienced challenging episodes like being unable to sleep, you can almost guarantee that there's going to be a voice in your head that will be telling you that taking a drink will solve the problem and make everything okay. As I mentioned earlier, you have to know that this is a complete and utter illusion. All alcohol will do is keep you stuck in the cycle of addictive, destructive behavior. We need to go through that short-term discomfort that might arise with our sleep, because that short-term discomfort is nothing in terms of the trade-off for a lifetime of feeling free and experiencing complete peace and comfort in our sleep. You're going to feel so much better in yourself. So find a new go-to alcohol-free drink that you really enjoy and that works for you. It can fill the void that alcohol left, especially if you were a daytime drinker. But try and avoid drinking too much liquid in the hour or two before you go to bed, or you can end up finding yourself getting up during the night needing the toilet. Try and relax and unwind before you go to bed. Use a meditation app such as Calm or Headspace. This will clear your mind and help you really wind down before bedtime. There's some amazing sleep meditations that you can do. Some people pop their headphones in as they lay in bed, and they actually help them drift off to sleep. You could also consider listening to calming music, reading a book, or doing breathing exercises before you go to bed. Some people enjoy taking a warm, relaxing bath with candles and music too. So find something that works for you. And it's really important, get yourself into a routine that feels comfortable. And I also recommend paying attention to your diet and your nutrition. Having a bad diet that's calorific and full of sugar is not going to help you sleep. Eating late at night, just before you go to bed, is going to have a negative impact too. If nothing improves with your sleep after a few weeks, you might want to speak to a medical professional to see if you have a sleep disorder. Don't rule it out. But get some advice around that and keep a journal, as I mentioned, and note down everything around the quality of your sleep until you get into a pattern that feels like you're waking up feeling fully refreshed and restored, and you're getting off to sleep really quickly. It's so important to learn what's working for you and to know that when you've got into that pattern, you can stick to it because you've made the effort to understand exactly what's working and exactly what's not. Try and keep to that routine. If you smoke, avoid nicotine 2 or 3 hours before bedtime, but do stick with it. Treat it like an experiment. Find that routine because it's there. Try and avoid getting frustrated by focusing on the fact that you're taking positive steps to address the issue. And once you've found that routine, hold on to it, grasp onto it, write it down, and make it your own personal pre-bedtime ritual. You can visit my website. As I say, I've put it in the description and there's a link above my head right now. So you can find out more about the best ways to sleep brilliantly after you've quit drinking. And if you need a book to read just before you go to bed, my new book, How to Quit Alcohol in 50 Days, is one I would definitely recommend. So make sure you grab your copy of that now. I'd love you to read the book and tell me exactly what you think about it.